The room fell silent the moment Jacob Turner placed his company badge on the polished conference table. Every employee stared as if time itself had stopped. For 12 years, Jacob had been the man everyone depended on, the first to arrive, the last to leave, the employee who never complained and always delivered. Yet after one cruel sentence from the CEO, everything he had built disappeared in a heartbeat. Without raising his voice, without begging for another chance, the single father quietly packed his desk, took his little daughter Olivia by the hand, and walked out of the skyscraper that had stolen so many years of his life. No one in that room realized they were watching the biggest mistake the company would ever make. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, integrity, and second chances still matter in today's world, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories that remind us humanity still exists. Jacob Turner had never imagined that his career would end on an ordinary Tuesday morning in downtown Chicago. 12 years earlier, he had joined Horizon Dynamics as a junior operations manager. Through endless overtime, sleepless nights, and unwavering dedication, he climbed the corporate ladder without asking for favors. His co-workers respected him because he never took credit for someone else's work. His managers trusted him because every project he touched became successful. Life had not been kind outside the office. For years earlier, Jacob had buried his wife, Rebecca, after a long battle with cancer. Overnight he became both father and mother to 6-year-old Olivia, a cheerful little girl whose smile somehow survived even after losing her mother. Every morning before sunrise, Jacob prepared breakfast, braided Olivia's curly brown hair using online tutorials, packed her lunch, and drove her to school before rushing to work. Every evening he raced home just in time to help with homework, cook dinner, and read bedtime stories. Exhaustion became part of his daily routine, but he never complained because Olivia was worth every sacrifice. Unfortunately, the company's new CEO, Nathan Collins, saw none of that. Nathan had inherited the corporation from his father and believed fear was the fastest path to success. Employees were expected to obey without question. Personal lives meant nothing to him. Numbers mattered. Profits mattered. Everything else was considered weakness. When Horizon Dynamics landed its biggest government contract in company history, pressure filled every department. Nathan demanded mandatory weekend shifts for an entire month. Jacob respectfully explained that he could work every weekday until midnight but needed weekends to care for Olivia because he had no family nearby. Nathan barely looked up from his expensive leather chair. His cold response echoed across the conference room. "Do as I said or quit." Those 5 words shattered 12 years of loyalty. The room became painfully quiet. Managers avoided eye contact. Several co-workers looked at Jacob with sympathy, hoping he would simply apologize and stay. They knew he needed the paycheck. They knew he was raising a daughter alone. Jacob looked at the framed photograph of Olivia sitting inside his notebook. Her bright smile reminded him of the promise he had made beside Rebecca's hospital bed, that no job would ever come before their daughter. Without another word, Jacob nodded calmly. He walked back to his office. He removed the family picture from his desk. He packed a few books, a coffee mug Olivia had painted at school, and the worn notebook that held every project plan he had ever created. Then he picked up his box and quietly walked toward the elevator. Employees stood frozen as he passed. Some whispered that he was making a terrible mistake. Others secretly wished they had his courage. Outside the building, Olivia waited in the lobby after school with her backpack and favorite stuffed rabbit. She smiled the moment she saw her father. Instead of asking why he was carrying a box, she simply slipped her small hand into his. That silent gesture reminded Jacob he had chosen the right path. The weeks that followed were brutally difficult. Bills continued arriving. His savings disappeared faster than he expected. Jacob applied for dozens of executive positions, but every interview ended the same way. Companies wanted someone willing to travel constantly or relocate immediately. Neither option was possible for a single father. Some evenings Jacob skipped dinner so Olivia could have a full meal. He smiled during bedtime stories even when fear kept him awake until dawn. Still, he refused to lose hope. One afternoon while volunteering at Olivia's school fundraiser, Jacob met an elderly veteran named Samuel Brooks. Samuel noticed Jacob organizing the event with remarkable efficiency and asked about his background. After listening carefully, Samuel smiled. Years earlier he had started a small logistics consulting company that now struggled because he was preparing for retirement. He needed someone honest enough to lead it forward. Not someone with the flashiest resume. Someone with character. Jacob accepted the opportunity, even though the salary was much lower than before. He treated the tiny business with the same dedication he had once given a billion-dollar corporation. He visited struggling family-owned companies across Illinois, helping them improve operations without laying off workers. Instead of demanding impossible targets, he listened to employees, simplified complicated systems, and built trust. Word spread quickly. Business owners recommended him to friends. Contracts multiplied. Within 3 years, Brooks Logistics Consulting expanded from 5 employees to over 100 across several states. Jacob insisted on one company rule above all others. Family always comes first. Parents could attend school events. Employees facing emergencies received support instead of punishment. Productivity unexpectedly increased because people finally felt respected. Meanwhile, Horizon Dynamics experienced a very different future. Nathan's harsh leadership created constant turnover. Experienced employees resigned one after another. Projects failed. Major clients left. The same government contract Nathan had celebrated became a financial disaster because experienced managers were gone. Investors demanded change. Finally, the board replaced Nathan as CEO. Months later, Brooks Logistics received an invitation to compete for one of the largest operational consulting contracts in the Midwest. Ironically, the client was Horizon Dynamics. Jacob almost declined. Old memories still hurt. But Samuel gently reminded him that forgiveness often opens doors revenge never can. On presentation day, Jacob entered the familiar skyscraper wearing the same quiet confidence he had always possessed. Many former co-workers gasped when they recognized him. Several hurried over to shake his hand. Some admitted they had eventually quit because they realized how unfairly he had been treated. Others thanked him because his courage inspired them to choose healthier workplaces. During the executive meeting, Jacob calmly presented a practical recovery strategy that focused not only on profits but also on rebuilding employee trust. The board listened carefully. Then someone asked the question everyone had been thinking. What inspired this leadership philosophy? Jacob paused before answering. He spoke about losing his wife. He spoke about raising Olivia alone. He spoke about discovering that people perform their best when they know their families matter. Finally, he quietly mentioned the day someone had told him to choose between work and his daughter. Instead of expressing anger, he simply said that moment changed his life forever because it taught him what real success truly means. Silence filled the room. Several executives lowered their eyes. They finally understood the enormous cost of leadership without compassion. Brooks Logistics won the contract unanimously. Over the following year, Jacob helped transform Horizon Dynamics from within. Toxic policies disappeared. Flexible schedules returned. Employee satisfaction reached record highs. Productivity climbed higher than it ever had under fear-based leadership. One afternoon Jacob received an unexpected visitor. Nathan Collins. No longer dressed in designer suits or surrounded by assistants, Nathan looked older and humbled. He admitted that losing the company had forced him to confront the damage his arrogance had caused. For the first time in his life, he sincerely apologized. Jacob accepted the apology, not because the past could be erased, but because carrying bitterness would only burden tomorrow. That evening Jacob left work early. Not because he had finished every task, but because Olivia had invited him to watch her school play. As he sat in the front row, watching his daughter proudly perform beneath the bright stage lights, tears quietly filled his eyes. Years earlier he had feared walking away from one job would destroy their future. Instead, choosing his daughter had built a life far richer than any promotion ever could. Success had never been measured by the size of his office, the title on his business card, or the number in his bank account. Success was hearing Olivia laugh without worry. Success was building a company where parents never had to choose between family and work. Success was proving that kindness creates stronger leaders than fear ever will. If this story touched your heart, please write the word kindness in the comments below. We'd love to know that this message reached someone who needed it today. And before this story ends, If Jacob's journey inspired you even a little, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us that compassion, courage, and love will always outlast power, pride, and fear. Sometimes life closes one door so quietly that we mistake it for failure. But years later, we realize it was actually the beginning of the life we were always meant to live. Jacob didn't lose everything the day he packed his desk. He found the courage to protect what mattered most. In the end, the greatest victory wasn't returning to the same building, it was returning home every evening knowing his daughter would always remember that, when the world demanded a choice, her father chose her.